A young professional's life unravels when her antique mirror's reflection begins to move independently, slowly revealing a terrifying truth about her own fractured psyche. Alex, a meticulous architect in her late 20s, prided herself on order. Her apartment, a minimalist haven of steel and glass, was a testament to her controlled existence. Yet, a recent acquisition introduced a jarring dissonance, a towering, ornate, antique mirror. She'd found it in a dusty antique shop, its gilded frame tarnished, its glass clouded. Something about it, a silent grandeur, a hint of untold stories, had drawn her in, despite its incongruity. It now stood sentinel in her living room, a dark, imposing presence that swallowed light. She often stared into its depths, not at her own image, but at the swirling imperfections within the glass. Like trapped smoke, a faint, metallic scent, like old blood or rust, clung to its surface. The air around it felt cooler, a subtle chill that raised goosebumps. It was beautiful, yes, but deeply unsettling. A silent observer in her predictable life, it began subtly, almost a momentary distortion in her reflection. Like a ripple, Alex would blink, shake her head, attributing it to fatigue or a trick of light. But occurrences grew more frequent, more pronounced. One morning, as she brushed her teeth, her reflection's eyes seemed to linger, a cold, unblinking stare that sent a shiver down her spine. She'd spun around, heart pounding, but the apartment was empty, save for the silent mirror. Then came the smiles. Alex would catch her reflection smiling, a slow, knowing smirk, when her own face was a mask of exhaustion. It was a cruel, mocking smile that didn't belong to her, a predatory curve of lips. She started avoiding the mirror, dressing in the bathroom, applying makeup with her back to its imposing presence. But the feeling of being watched persisted, a prickling sensation, a cold breath. She'd wake in the dead of night, convinced she heard faint whispers emanating from the living room, a low, guttural murmur. Her sleep became fractured, haunted by nightmares of being trapped behind glass, her own face staring back with malevolent glee. Her appetite waned, her appearance grew Friends noticed her pallor. "You look like you've seen a ghost," Alex, her colleague, Sarah, remarked. Alex forced a weak smile, dismissing it as overwork. How could she explain that her own reflection was haunting her? She started researching antique mirrors, delving into obscure forums and dusty historical texts. Tales of cursed objects, of mirrors as portals, of reflections as separate entities, filled her screen. She scoffed at first, dismissing them as superstitious nonsense. But the more she read, the more the chilling accounts resonated. One legend spoke of a mirror that didn't reflect the soul, but trapped it, leaving a hollow shell and a malevolent doppelganger free to roam. The description was eerily similar to her own. Alex began to cover the mirror at night, first with a sheet, then multiple layers of blankets secured with heavy books. But the whispers intensified, clawing at her sanity. She'd hear her own name called, distorted and guttural, from behind the muffled fabric. Sometimes she'd swear she saw the fabric ripple, as if something was pressing from within. The cold spot around the mirror expanded, chilling the entire living room. She was living in constant dread, a prisoner in her own home, stalked by her own image. One evening, driven by desperate need, she uncovered the mirror. Her reflection stared back, its eyes wide and unblinking, a silent challenge. Alex felt a surge of irrational anger. "What do you want?" she whispered, her voice hoarse. The reflection didn't answer, but its lips moved, forming words Alex couldn't hear, yet somehow understood. Freedom. It was a silent scream, a desperate plea, or a chilling demand. Alex felt a strange pull, a magnetic force drawing her closer. Her reflection reached out, its hand pressing against the surface, mirroring her own. The air in the apartment grew heavy, thick with an oppressive silence. Alex stood before the mirror, her breath shallow, her heart a frantic drum. Her reflection, no longer a mere image, was a living, breathing entity, its eyes burning with unsettling intensity. It was no longer just mimicking her, it was leading her, its movements subtly anticipating her own, its expressions shifting with a malevolent glee. She felt a profound sense of violation, as if her very essence was being usurped. "Stop it!" Alex screamed, her voice cracking. The reflection merely widened its smile, a grotesque parody. It began to move its lips, not in a whisper, but in a silent, mocking laugh that echoed in Alex's mind, a cacophony of self-doubt and fear. The room seemed to spin, the walls closing in, the air growing colder, sharper, like shards of ice. The metallic scent intensified, filling her nostrils, making her gag. Driven by primal terror, Alex lunged forward, hands outstretched, intending to smash the glass, but as her fingers brushed the cold, unyielding surface, her reflection moved with impossible speed. Its hand shot out, not to block her, but to grasp her wrist. The touch was icy, a shock that jolted through her. She tried to pull away, but the grip was iron, unyielding. The reflection's eyes, her own eyes, bored into hers, and in their depths, Alex saw not a separate entity, but a distorted, magnified version of her own darkest thoughts, her deepest insecurities, her most repressed desires. It was a reflection of the self she had meticulously buried. "You can't escape me," the reflection mouthed, its voice a chilling whisper that resonated directly in Alex's mind. "I am you, the part you deny, the part you fear." Nausea washed over Alex as the truth slammed into her. The mirror wasn't a portal, it was a conduit. It wasn't reflecting a ghost, it was reflecting her. The malevolent smiles, the independent movements, the whispers, all manifestations of her own suppressed darkness, given form and agency by the antique glass. The reflection began to pull, a relentless, agonizing tug that threatened to dislocate Alex's arm. She felt herself being drawn into the mirror, not physically, but spiritually, her consciousness blurring, her sense of self dissolving. The boundaries between her and the reflection began to melt, her features merging, her terror mirroring its triumph. She saw flashes of memories, moments of anger, jealousy, resentment, all amplified and distorted, swirling within the mirror's depths. This wasn't an external threat, it was an internal war, and she was losing. With a final, desperate surge of adrenaline, Alex wrenched her arm free, tearing her skin on the sharp edge of the mirror's frame. A searing pain, hot and real, brought her back. She stumbled backward, gasping for air, her eyes fixed on the mirror. The reflection was still there, still smiling, but now its smile was tinged with a new, unsettling understanding. It had shown her what lay beneath, and the knowledge was more terrifying than any external monster. Alex stood panting, the metallic tamps of blood on her tongue, the chill from the mirror still clinging to her skin. The reflection stared back, its smile now a faint, almost imperceptible curve, but its eyes held a depth of knowing that chilled her to the bone. She had seen the truth. The monster wasn't in the mirror, it was in her. The antique glass had merely been a window, a catalyst, allowing her to confront the parts of herself she had so desperately tried to suppress. She didn't smash the mirror, she couldn't. It was a part of her now, a constant, silent reminder of the darkness that lurked within. Instead, she covered it again, meticulously, layer upon layer. But the whispers didn't stop. They were no longer confined to the living room. They were in her head, a constant, insidious murmur that echoed her own thoughts, twisting them, darkening them. She saw the subtle shifts in her own expressions, the fleeting moments when her smile didn't quite reach her eyes, when a flicker of something cold and calculating crossed her face. Alex returned to her life, but it was a life forever altered. The order she once cherished now felt like a fragile facade. She found herself making choices she wouldn't have before, small, almost imperceptible deviations from her meticulous routine. A sharp word to a colleague, a fleeting thought of malice, a sudden, inexplicable urge to break something beautiful. The metallic scent, once confined to the mirror, now seemed to follow her, a constant reminder of the darkness that had been unleashed. Sometimes, late at night, she would stand before the covered mirror, her hand hovering over the fabric, a strange, morbid curiosity pulling her. She knew what lay beneath, what stared back, and sometimes, in the deepest recesses of her mind, she wondered if the reflection was still waiting, still smiling, biding its time, until the day she finally gave in, and the two became one, forever. The mirror was gone, but the glitch remained, a permanent crack in her own reality, a silent promise of the horror yet to come. The nightmare wasn't over. It had only just begun, and it was living inside her,